Testing, testing. All right. An abbreviated version of the news report, as Rick Rosner is not able to be in here, but I'll give y'all an abbreviated version. And all along those lines, he'll join us on tomorrow. Labor MPs and cabinet ministers urge Keir Starmer to resign. So some folks are asking what is happening with Keir Starmer's leadership. And UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer says he will not resign and he's under pressure as ministers quit. 80 MPs urge him to resign. Ask me if you can. Britain Starmer is challenging a mutinous party. Ukraine officials named Zelensky's ex-chief of staff as a suspect in a money laundering case. So Zelensky's ex-chief of staff named as suspect in major corruption probe. Ukraine officials say Zelensky's ex-chief of staff is a suspect in a money laundering probe. And hantavirus outbreak in MV Hondia's cruise ship. They on a trip of a lifetime now they're quarantined as health officials work to contain a hantavirus outbreak. Hantavirus cases rise to 11 as cruise ship passengers quarantine. And Israeli lawmakers approve tribunal for an October 7th attacker. Israel prepares to prosecute first suspect in October 7th attack led by Hamas. So Israeli MPs back special tribunal with death penalty powers for alleged October 7th um, masterminds. Israeli lawmakers set up the tribunal and allow for death penalty for October 2023 attackers. So definitely that is something going on in the Middle East. In first official confirmation, U.S. envoys say Israel sent Iron Dome to UAE. And Keir Starmer's latest, Jess Phillips resigns as minister after Prime Minister says he won't quit. So she's resigning, and this apparently will be particularly painful for Keir Starmer. And there, like I said, others are quitting as well. Australia dumps tax breaks for landlords to help young own a home. So find out if you're among the budget winners or losers, is what the Australian Broadcasting Corporation was saying as they unveiled changes to negative gearing and capital gains taxes. So budget capital gains tax changes and negative gearing reform explained in a article in The Guardian. So that's something going on as well. So definitely there's a lot going on in the world and all in that space. EU banks back sanctions on violent West Bank settlers. EU puts sanctions on Israeli settlers after Hungary drops Orban's vote veto. So EU announces sanctions against violent Israeli settlers, and the European Union hits Israeli settlers with sanctions. So EU diplomats agree to sanctions Hamas leaders and Israeli settlers. Altar boy who called out sexual abuse in the Philippines is now a lawyer for victims. And EU to crack down on TikTok, Instagram's addictive design targeting kids on social media. So EU chiefs turn up heat on social media's addictive designs. So EU needs to delay social media access for children, is what von der Leyen is saying. So EU may ban social media for children this summer, according to what von der Leyen is claiming. And Kenya and France co-host Africa Forward Summit in Nairobi. Total lack of respect. Macron interrupts speaker to ask for silence. France Macron announces a 27 billion investment in Africa at the Kenya summit. After a decade of crisis between France and its former colonies, Macron chooses Kenya for the last major African trip of his presidency. Macron to Africa, we are not the predators of the 21st century, and all along those lines. So definitely that's what some folks are.
Hello and welcome to Newsday with Jeff Ahern. I'm your host, Jeff Ahern. Today's top story. If there is such a thing as foot and mouth disease, then Joe Biden and Kamala Harris must have gotten the version where it's their entire leg. With Biden, it's more of a staccato stupidity. Harris prefers a more robust word salad. So allow me to mash up their speeches and see if you can figure out who's who. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democrat candidate for the United States Senate. And we have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. I think that, to be honest with you, I do believe that we should have rightly believed, but we certainly believe that certain issues are just settled. Certain issues are just settled, like poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Which is why if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black, you lying dog-faced pony soldier. Come on, man. You need to get to the go and need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work and get home. So you go ahead and stack the spaghetti sauce at a store and a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who runs the or brings out the carts on a
Some of the works from our friend Jeff Ahorn back in the day when he was giving us some reports and all along those lines. And we'll get back in touch with him and see if he's available to do any more as well. EU sanctions 16 people for abducting Ukrainian children. So that is something that's going on as well. Teen bedroom art installation shines spotlight on Ukraine's stolen children. So Ukraine children unlawfully deported and forcibly transferred to Russia. EU sanctions 16 individuals and 7 entities. So this is something going on in the world as well. And the clipping economy, how short form video clippers are overrunning the internet. And I know that that's even something we do here with clips from TikTok and, well, actually from StreamYard, and then we put them on TikTok and Instagram and things along those lines. So NPR is reporting that this is a big trend and all along those lines. In fact, I think I'll bring in Jatopi. He does a lot of that kind of work in the media world as well. And we'll get to some other news stories also, especially since Rick is not here and everything like that. So how are you doing today, Jatopi? And you're on mute there, but how's your day going?
It's okay. Where's everybody today?
Well, I started late and everything, but Rick had told me, because Rick's my main go-to man and everything like that, but he has a medical situation. I don't know what it is, but he did send me an email earlier today that he would be out today and hopefully back tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Because the rest of the folks, Sharif, it's usually you and me and Sharif, but yeah, I knew that Rick was going to be out. And I'm, as you can say, over here at HTAS, but yeah, so I was just actually playing some clips and giving them some news. But yeah, what's your thoughts around this notion of, because a lot of people, I know that even I do some, but Nick loves doing those short clips. I guess everybody is really using StreamYard and just bombarding folks with those short clips and everything like that. Because I think that's what the NPR story is about, is how people really like these short bites.
I mean, that's always been there, is, utilizing the short clips and videos. That's why TikTok, your big TikTokers are doing 60 seconds. You got your Instagrams, you got your all the, that's the world we live in.
Yeah, and we got Sasha, who asked where her folks were. Sasha has joined us and everything like that. Putin's war looks like it's coming home to Moscow, so Russia is stumbling on the battlefield. And there was an article saying Putin's pathetic parade. So there's rumors of instability in Moscow. So we're about to have Putin collapse and the government collapse there in Russia. You're my expert on that, Sasha. So I know you'll be talking about that at 11. But what's your take on this? Is this about to be a collapse in government there in Russia?
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. For sure, there will be a collapse of the government in Russia. The future is very bleak for Russia under present regime, and there have to be fundamental changes, and that's only possible with regime change. And it will happen naturally, because the regime is getting weaker and weaker, and the people are watching now for so many years the same thing, and just getting worse and worse. So probably they are not going to go for a long haul with Putin. And listen, don't forget that Putin was not as old as Trump, but and probably in better physical conditions than Trump, but he is also getting close to 75 and so on.
Yeah. What's your take on Peter Magyar? Because apparently he's the Hungary's new leader, and I know that he's going to take over for Orban and everything like that. So, and maybe they're going to get out of their autocratic government. So is he going to be a radical change, or is he just going to be much of the same?
It's hard to say. It requires more time to watch his approach and what he's doing, so it's too little time to judge.
Yeah, that makes sense and everything. I did see that Kuwait says Iran attacked an island where China is helping build a port. So they're accusing Iran of sending the armed Revolutionary Guard team in a failed island attack. So it looks like Iran is attacking some of their neighbors as well. So we're just going to get into expanding conflicts in y'all's mind, because it does look like it's expanding left and right. Maybe we're heading toward World War III. Let's hope not, but maybe we are.
I don't see a World War III because of the Iranian situation, really. If Iran would have nuclear weapons, then it could be still not so sure about it, but it could be without nuclear weapons on Iranian side. And U.S. Is not going to use its own nuclear weapons, and U.S. cannot afford a full invasion of Iran, then I don't understand what U.S. really is doing there. Because without invasion, a full-scale invasion of Iran, U.S. cannot declare a victory, it cannot get its uranium stockpile, it cannot open Strait of Hormuz, it cannot replace regime with some kind of friendly regime like in Venezuela, for example. Nothing is accomplished by this military campaign. And so you either just run away and or start full-scale invasion. The price is very uncertain. It's actually I doubt that U.S. will survive a full-scale invasion of Iran. Probably U.S. will fall as a result.
Speaking of full-scale invasion, Sasha, and everything, you know, Trump and Rubio are having escalating rhetoric, and they're showing that a Cuban invasion could be imminent. So they're talking about the possibility. They did it in Venezuela of possibly trying to take over Cuba as well. So is there any fear of y'all with some of these Senate Republicans even warning Trump against Cuban military attack? And we all know the history of the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Quick question: Does Cuba have oil?
No.
No.
Does Cuba have drugs, contraband, anything?
No, it has sunny beaches, old infrastructure that has to be renewed, replaced.
I mean, anything that can be turned into money.
Yeah, as I said, the beaches, so they can develop maybe hotels.
Yeah, the resort. Yeah, there was
Kind of
old
what they were
resort.
going to do with Gaza when Trump said he was taking over Gaza. Kind of what they did, what they said they were going to do in these other places that he said he was going to take over, like Greenland. And now he's wanting to make the Venezuela the 51st state after wanting to steal their oil. Also, he thought he was going to be able to do that in Iran.
But if he can steal Venezuelan oil, why does he need Venezuela become 51st state?
That's a legacy thing. That's why he's having these stupid arches and these stupid ballroom crap.
And the pool.
Oh yeah, the reflecting pool where he did a no bid contract and gave it to his buddy.
Yeah, and apparently his pastor is happy because they're going to let him put a full statue. You know, last time I checked religion, they're not supposed to be false idols, but they're going to let him put a statue of himself on his golf course and everything like that. So that's the other thing that's always he's getting ready to get. I think it's a golden statue.
I mean, he's a wannabe king. He's a wannabe dictator. Remember in the interview, he said that he ruled the world or wanted to rule the world or something of that nature. But people support him, and it's sad that people want to support this wannabe dictator, wannabe king.
Yeah, he's definitely a wannabe dictator. By the way, China, which is definitely doing a lot of investigation and doing with a lot of innovative work, the Tiansohua 10 freighter delivered 7 tons of cargo to their Tianjin space station, and among the things that they launched was the world's first space artificial embryo experiment. So this was via their mission, so there might be a baby born there in space and everything like that. So there's 41 science experiments that they carried to the space station, and one of them is a embryo and everything like that. So maybe we're about to have space babies.
I mean, they're going to experiment with whatever they can. They're going to experiment with whatever they can. Right now, China's leading a lot of technological things. So why not take space too? That's their logic. While Trump is doing dumb crap with, hey, we're going to put more money back into oil and coal.
Yep. But then he's also supposed to be meeting with the Chinese leader. Isn't that later on this week, Sasha? Isn't he supposed to be having a meeting? And what do you expect from that meeting?
Which meeting?
Trump and the leader of China.
Well, as I said before, I don't understand the nature of that meeting because let's see, he's arriving. Um, Xi is welcoming him and ask Mr. Trump, welcome to China. What can I do for you?
Mhm.
And then what Trump is going to reply?
So it's all transactional. There's no doubt about that, particularly with him.
Well,
Everything
from
like
what I understand, remember the other, it's not just him that's going over there.
mm-mm.
The other businesses that want to get into China.
It's a whole bunch of billionaires because they said it was. I think Elon's going, and a host of other billionaires are going with him. So yes, there are a lot of big businesses that are going there to China with him and everything.
Yeah, that meeting has nothing to do with the American people.
Absolutely. This meeting is for entrepreneurs and opportunists in the Trump administration. They want to sign some lucrative deals for themselves and their families. So no, I don't see how American people get involved in it at all. I don't see any positive outcome for American people.
Yeah, but they said the U.S. business leaders have a combined wealth exceeding $870 billion that are going with him, and they include Elon Musk with Tesla, Stephen Schwarzman with Blackstone, Tim Cook with Apple, who's apparently worth 2.9 billion. I think this Tim Schwarzman is worth 40.5. Of course, Elon is 827.5 billion, and also Larry Fink with BlackRock, which is 1.3 billion. H. Lawrence Culp Jr., GE Aerospace, which is 1.8 billion, and other CEOs from Boeing, Goldman Sachs, Citi, Visa, Mastercard, Qualcomm, Micron, GE, Cargill, Coherent, Illumina, and Meta, and more. So yeah, he's taking a lot of his billionaire friends with him.
Yeah, it
So
has
what the China is expecting to get out of this meeting from Trump and the billionaires? What is something what they need from them? I really can't figure that out.
Well,
I mean, the
there
only
isn't.
thing that I would say that China, I mean, because China has all the cards in this.
Mhm.
They have the most. They have a larger base of consumers because of just based on population alone. So they have a large base of consumers. So what China has all the cards there. So I think the only thing China would get out of it is the intellectual properties. That's it.
Well, speaking of cards and who has cards and doesn't have cards, there is a CEO that is notably missing, and even some of the AI that I was looking at was noting that he's not there. And I know you're a big fan of his company, Sasha, and I think you are too, Jacoby. But apparently, the Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang is reportedly not invited, despite his massive fortune approaching $200 billion and everything like that. So, is it because he's might? I think he might be a Chinese or definitely an Asian national. Is that why he's not being invited, or why was he not included in the list? Because Nvidia is a major company.
He just recently stated that he is okay paying more taxes. So when Mamdani got hit with the individuals in New York or the rich people in New York saying the dumbest thing ever, um, saying tax the rich is just is no different than being saying racist or using racist language, which it's not. It's dumb to even think that. But then at a conference, the Nvidia CEO was asked about the taxing the rich and so on and so forth. He said it's okay. It's okay to tax us more. We make enough money as is.
Yep, that makes sense. We can't impeach. Well, nobody's trying to because he owns everything. Our president, but apparently there are other countries that are having no problem impeaching theirs because the South Africa is planning a presidential impeachment because of their Farmgate scandal. So apparently, South African president says he's not going to step down after impeachment calls, but he does face his calls to resign over a cash-in sofa scandal and all along those lines. I think it also had to do with the agricultural industry in that space and everything along those lines. So looks like other countries can get rid of their leaders, even though our leaders has done some things that probably should have him be impeached. And I think there was even talk about the Supreme Court justice being impeached and everything like that as well. So are we going to see any impeachment, or who's going to be next to fall off the Trump yes train caravan.
It'll be Duffy. Reason it'll be Duffy is because they're being embarrassed by Duffy doing this whole trip across America thing, and with all the plane crashes, everything else that's going on with transportation, that's starting to cause an embarrassment for the Trump administration. So they're going to get rid of him because, hey, he was a distraction.
Well, speaking of distraction, our good folks at Fox, and yes, I'm being somewhat sarcastic, is saying that the U.S.-Iran ceasefire is on life support because that's what Trump said, following Tehran's unacceptable peace plan or their unacceptable treaty that they were going to try to present and everything like that. So Trump calls Iran's peace proposal garbage as ceasefire hangs in the balance. So it looks like maybe we're going to do some more attacking or something along those lines because apparently nobody can come to agreement on this ceasefire. So much longer is that war going to go on, the U.S. against Iran, in y'all's opinion?
It will go as long as U.S. is keeping its troops in the territory. U.S. have to retreat, take all their troops and weapons and everything out. That's the only thing what has to be done. Otherwise, it will be a catastrophe much more significant than, for example, Vietnam. Because what's happened with Vietnam? Okay, so there was a war. So U.S. could have won the war, or Vietnam would have won the war, which was happened. And it didn't affect at all the world economy, the American people, except that there were, of course, casualties, a lot of casualties. Now, in this situation with Iran, it's a world economy which is put on the map. It's a U.S. supremacy which is now put on the map. American people, they're losing their faith in this administration because if you would ask a question, so are you better off today than a year and a half ago? No, we are not better today than a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago, you American people were much better off than today. And you can continue this list of any events or quotes or anything. I think prestige of the United States is on the map. Even if it wouldn't be this war against Iran, okay, it's a questionable who has military supremacy, U.S. or China. Probably U.S. still, but it doesn't have to prove it. It's been there for years. Now with this war now, there is no such question that there is, oh yes, U.S. is supreme or so on. It's very questionable right now because U.S. lost a lot of its stockpiles of its ammunition. They are requesting now $1.5 trillion military budget to start replenish these stockpiles. And I think if China will politely ask Donald to submit Taiwan to their influence, Donald will do it without hesitation. What else can he do?
I got a better one for you, Sasha.
Yeah.
China doesn't even have to do anything. Because right now, Iran holds all the cards, so they don't have to back down or do anything. So what you're saying is correct. Yeah, they're going to demand the U.S. leave, and the war's not going to end until the U.S. leaves. Same thing that happened in Vietnam. And again, because they hold the choke point to the Earth's or the world's economy, they don't have to do anything. They hold all the cards, thanks to Trump.
But that's what they're doing now.
Even more so with China. China sees this. China will now hold all the cards when it comes to technology. Who makes the majority of chips across the globe? Taiwan. Why does China want Taiwan? The chips. So right now, China could actually legitimately and not even fire a missile or do anything to the U.S. And the U.S. really has no say-so in stopping them from taking over Taiwan, and that might be one of the big meetings. But China can take over Taiwan and have all the chips, and guess who now rules the chip world? So you have Iran, who is now empowered by Trump, and now you have China, who's empowered by Trump. And they didn't even have to shoot a missile or do anything really to attack the U.S. They just control the two choke points that dominate our society right now.
So I think Xi could invoke a strategy where he will say to Trump, "Oh, Donald, okay, so explain to me why you came, why do I need you, what are you offering," and so on, without even giving nothing to U.S.
Yep.
And what Trump
Exactly.
is going to do in this scenario, I really don't know.
Yeah, nobody knows. Speaking of not knowing and everything like that, there's another group of people that are influencing what's going on in the world, and that is hackers and everything like that. And it was a major hacking incident involving Canvas. And I know a lot of people, I think even some of the people on this network use Canvas and everything like that. So how concerned should we be? Because there was actually a deal, according to NBC, reached with the hackers to delete data stolen from the Canvas educational platform. And like I said, a lot of business people use Canvas. I know most of the college students use it and everything like that. So, as one in that field, Jacoby, how concerned are you about how easy it is to hack some of these platforms?
Well, look at our cybersecurity setup
Mhm.
in the same form, in the same way that you look at the health, the way our health is being run right now. They cut how many people from the CDC, NIH, and all the other places? Guess what they did in that field, in the FBI and the Homeland Security stuff? They cut areas there just to focus on, hey, we're going to do mass deportations. So not only did they get rid of the people that were protecting and hunting these people down, but they did the same thing in the CDC. Now we got an outbreak, even though the hantavirus isn't really transferable and all the other things. It's a warning sign. Don't get me wrong. I'm not scared of the hantavirus because it doesn't transfer. It doesn't go from human to human, or it rarely does. What I'm more concerned about are the other viruses that are out there that are starting to spread from measles. We're not talking about measles and so on and so forth. So all these things, the CDC, NIH, we get pulled from the WHO, which was helping us fight these things. Yeah, so now we're completely unsafe health-wise. But that hack, there are going to be more hacks because we've pulled people from these positions. So yeah, am I concerned? Yep. But what are we going to do about it? U.S. government is now run by a moron.
Yep, and apparently he's had some crazy stuff about drug prices as well. Because apparently, at a press conference on maternal health, he told an embellished story about a wealthy, highly neurotic friend who complained about paying $1,370 in New York for the same GLP-1 weight loss drug that cost $87 in London. Trump said the friend's informal investigation revealed identical products made in the same facility but sold at vastly different prices, which spurred him to act. And the president's mocking description of his friend as a fat slob drew laughter from Dr. Mehmet Oz and has been a recurring anecdote in his speeches. So he's not even being too friendly to his friends and all along those lines. So he's definitely trying to target a lot of folks. And apparently he was also got a rebuke from the NABJ because they are condemning his treatment of Black women journalists and everything like that. So yeah, he's just been totally targeting a lot of sisters, including Yamech Alcindor, April Ryan, and Jasmine Wright. So yeah, he's definitely got some hostility going towards women reporters just in general. So what is it with Trump and this whole notion of not liking the press and particularly not liking women reporters?
Because they challenge him, and then on top of that, it's a woman. Trump thinks he's above women. They're his equal. Same thing with Black people. He didn't care.
Wow.
Where his father? Look at the history of his father.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what he did in his life. Trump has told you who he is from the things that he's said about women, the things that he's done to women, the things that he's said about minorities, Black people, the things that he's done to minorities and Black people. So it's not a shocker, the things that he's doing. It's a shocker that people are just going along with it. People that you would think that would stand up against it or used to stand up against it are doing it, one, for power and money and political purposes. And then two, a lot of them just agree and they can finally say it out loud.
Yeah,
which is
they
sad.
don't, they
Well,
don't have
some
to.
of them. I won't say a lot of them. Some of them just agree and will say stuff like this out loud, and it's sad, but that's the reality that we have to understand where we are and not just play from where we want to be. We have to seek the area that we want to get to, but understanding where you are is the most important piece.
Yeah, I wish Rick was here because apparently there's even some accusations about a California politician being a Chinese spy. And I do know that sometimes we have spies even in our own government. So the Arcadia mayor there in California, Eileen Wong, is resigned over illegal China agent charges. So she's been charged with acting as an agent of the Chinese government. So apparently she's pleading guilty to that and is saying that she was acting as one of their agents and everything like that. So I don't know what the punishment is for being a Chinese spy, but I guess we'll find out in this particular case and everything like that. And it looks like the Nancy Guthrie investigation is still going on because they're saying that that could hang on a strand of DNA. So they're still trying to find this lady and all along those lines. So it looks like Arizona sheriffs are saying authorities are closer to solving the case. So I do hope that they solve that case because that's been going on for a while and at least find out.
Well, the sad part on that case, I mean, not the situation is extremely sad and disturbing. And I really hope they find her so the family can get closure because that's a really terrible thing. But the sad part was this administration. Was it Patel went out on TV saying trying to politicize that investigation, claiming that they weren't ever or the FBI wasn't contacted and so on and so forth, just making all this mess up and using that as some, I guess, talking point to attack different individuals. It's just ridiculous. That family's in pain. Don't say things like that, especially when it's a lie, because the FBI was involved from the start.
Yep, definitely involved from the start and everything like that. We're going to wind down shortly and everything along those lines. Like I said, this will be an abbreviated version because we do have the Ukraine, Russia, China show coming up very shortly and everything like that. But I did see that apparently the Defense Department is trying to get $1.5 trillion. That's their budget request. That's a whole lot of money. So Hedges is facing a new round of questioning from Congress on the Iran war, but also on the amount of money that they want the government to invest. So that's just going to be crazy, that kind of investment.
I mean, welcome to this the Trump party.
Welcome to the Trump world and everything like that.
They're using it as a slush fund.
Not the slush fund. Is that what it is? Is it talking a slush fund?
I mean, that's what Trump is using it as.
Apparently, Donald Trump is proposing suspending federal gas taxes. So that means that'll be good. So apparently, he's backing this notion of suspending the federal gas taxes. So will that make the gas prices go down?
No, that creates a spiral of rob Peter to pay Paul, because federal gas taxes pay for a lot of stuff in the transportation area, from all your bridges, so on and so forth. Then you spend that money, and now you're going to have to make that up somewhere else. On top of that, if you take out that 14, 15 cents that it may be, 13 cents that it may be, 13 to 18 cents, I think it is. You take that out, you got to bring it back at some point. So you're going to try and bring gas prices down by 13 cents. So your average is now going to go, instead of 450 down to 436. Well, 438. I'm sorry, 437, 432. You're not changing much on there. And then later you got to bring it back up. You got to bring those gas taxes back into play. So it's just a spiral where you're going to lose money from somewhere and play the whole rob Peter to pay Paul, which is going to affect.
Speaking of robbing Peter to pay Paul, and we're going to wrap up on this note. It looks like the reflecting pool repairs to cost $13.1 million, and Trump had promised $1.8 million. So he attacks the New York Times over reports on the reflecting pools rising costs, and a nonprofit is suing the federal government over plans to paint the Lincoln Memorial. So I guess he wants to paint the Lincoln Memorial too. So he's now talking about maybe the entirety of the Lincoln Memorial. So he just wants to redo the entire DC.
Yeah, Trump is just using the taxpayer dollars as a slush fund. He's taking money, and sad part is MAGA defends it. Hey, Black MAGA defended him taking the voting rights away from Black people.
Yeah, my brother was talking about that on Mother's Day, because he's talking about how some of his people that he know in that space, you can't even get them convinced that he's doing anything wrong, even though it's plain as day that he's taking voting rights acts and everything else, but they don't see it.
I mean, they don't care. They
don't care.
They claim that they used to care, but they cared about corruption. Oh, Hunter Biden this. Well, Donald Trump's family making multiple billions of dollars. Well, he's a businessman. You just complained about the Biden family doing that. So it's ridiculous. But it looks like everybody's gone. Mark, I guess you're starting the other show. I guess you can close the show here. I'm still over here cooking, making me some food because I got to eat some food. But I'll let you go.
All right, we're ready to get on out of here.